Yo, what's going on, young goats? How y'all feeling? Today I'm going to be showing you guys a really dope archetype called Beastial. It is a archetype centered around normal monsters that are all light beast warriors with the same stats, and they're all level 4s. It is kind of an Aztec lore. It's a really cool deck centered around a beastial tribe, which is a tribe of warriors founded by Amodias, who have mastered a technique that assimilates themselves with the primal nature of their spirit guardians. The spirit guardians are in animal form, and what this form does is it gives them power incarnate, which gives them strength that's immeasurable in comparison to their strength without the form. However, it comes at a cost. The animalistic and primal nature of this form does eat away and degrade your mind. So because of that, the risk of this form is you losing your humanity completely. Amodias has crafted an armor for the bestial tribe to wear that protects their mind from the degrading effects of this transformation, so that there's truly no drawback. It's really cool because the gimmick of this deck is to use normal monsters to make the effect monsters, and the effect monsters are link monsters who are simply the upgraded forms of the bestial tribe members with actual effects. So you use the normal monsters to upgrade them into effect monsters, kind of like Gemini in a sense, but you're not normal summoning them again. You're actually just transforming them. So that's how the playstyle works. You take the normal monsters and you transform them into their powerful forms, and you use them to interact with your opponent. The link monsters only gain effects if you use the specific counterpart to make them. So if you want to make the Amodias link monster and you want to give him his effect, you have to use Amodias to make him. So it can be weak in that regard. There is some balance here. I like this archetype a lot. Custom cards are one of my favorite things to do. And if you guys like this kind of content, you already know, what are you doing, bro? Like the video, break the subscribe button. It should have been broken last month, bro. Honestly, bro, what are you doing? And leave a comment and let me know how we're doing. I love custom cards. It's one of my favorite things in the entire game ever. We're gonna go into the lore. I love creating lores behind this deck. So yeah, this tribe is really dope. The playstyle is cool. A lot of the extenders are only able to summon normal monsters, and that's what kind of gives the deck the balance that you can't just extend into anything you want, and the deck locks you in the bestial, so you cannot summon generic. So you have to do everything with this archetype. So because of that, I had to make it strong enough to fend off on its own. But yeah, let's get into the background story of this deck. It's really, really cool. Normal monsters have some of the coolest techs ever, and what's cool with the normal monsters is I was able to give you guys a little piece of the lore behind this deck, and you know, that flavor, by telling some of the story in the normal monster description. Since they don't have effects, I get to share the lore, and I think that's so cool about this deck. I love it. Let me know how you feel about the creativity of it. So let's talk about him. He's a young goat, the first bestial warrior, the master of the hunt, and the founder of the bestial tribe. Although his power has waned with age, he is still feared and respected as one of the mightiest and wisest of all bestial warriors. It is said that he can regain his original strength, which easily surpasses all bestial warriors' strength combined, bro. He's that OP. His original strength, he's stronger than the entire tribe put together. Amodias is really, he's like that. He kind of reminds me of Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins, you know, like that's kind of like the inspiration from like his name in a way. He's just nerfed all the time, but he's still so strong even in his nerfed form. Like when he goes into his primal assault mode, he's still nerfed. He's just really old, and he has to hold back for a reason that we're going to get into. So his original strength has been lost. It's come with waning with age, but he can attain it. So it's said that he can regain his original strength, which easily surpasses all bestial warrior strength combined. He does this by fusing his soul with his ancestral armor. Remember that armor is important. The armor protects their minds from the degrading effects of their transformation, because it's the only way they can gain enough power to actually protect their tribe. So he gains this strength by fusing his soul with his ancestral armor. However, it will anchor him to this world. So he has refrained from doing so unless the life of his tribe depended on it. So this guy's old, and he just want to go somewhere, bro. He's trying to go to paradise, you know what I'm saying? He wants to have peace when he dies. But if he fuses with his armor, he will be tethered to this plane, and he cannot leave. In a sense, he will be immortal, but he'll be forced to be like a ferryman and kind of like the anchor for the bestial tribe. So he'll be forced to ferry their souls for the rest of his life. So he will live a life of eternal suffering, because he'll have to watch his people die, and he'll have to be the one to usher them into the next world, which is crazy that he won't get that piece that he'll be giving to them, but he will essentially sacrifice that piece for his tribe, and he's willing to do it. He's the elder, and he's honestly an honorable man. However, in spite of this, in his current state, he still casually levels mountains with the palms of his hand, and with his true potential unlocked, he becomes a planet buster. Keep that in mind. That is going to allude to something in the future when we get further into this archetype, that Amodias still does end up in the storyline of this deck and the lore. He does actually obtain his original strength because he has no choice, and that's the end goal of this deck, is to make Prime Amodias. You can make the other link monsters because remember, there's 3 generations of men. If I didn't say so already, this deck is based on 3 generations of men, which is Amodias, his son, and his grandson. So Amodias, Rhynod, and Matteo. There's 3 generations of men, and that's how the archetype's centered around. There's only 3 monsters, and then their forms, and then you have the primal Amodias, and then the Amodias in his prime, and that's when he fuses himself with his armor and anchors himself to this world, and he gains his original strength and he's just the most OP. So he's crazy. We're gonna talk about his son next, Rhynod. Okay. So here's Rhynod. They're normal monsters, so here's his story. He's the firstborn son of Amodias and the current reigning chief of the beastial tribe. He's held as the most powerful beastial warrior. He assumed his father's mantle as leader after defeating Amodias in ritual combat. Although his father held back, no one in the tribes know that, so they believe him to be the strongest. Rhynod has mastered the same bestial transformation technique as his father, enabling the mighty assault mode, assimilating with the primal nature of his spirit guardian, becoming power incarnate. This form is the greatest trump card of the tribe's arsenal. Rhynod is believed to be the bringer of the new age by the bestial tribe due to his reformative thinking and innovative leadership. So Rhynod's pretty much like that golden child. He's the firstborn, and he emanates that kind of that mindset, and the aspect of his character is that he is a natural born leader, and he's doing right by his tribe, and he's honoring his father. So he's a good son, you know what I'm saying? He's I mean, honestly, Amodias let him defeat him because he wanted his son to lead. He wants his son to lead, and they think that Rhynod beat Amodias, but Amodias held back. And that's how crazy powerful Amodias is that even in his nerfed state, he still had to hold back to let Rhynod beat him. And Rhynod is not a joke. Rhynod is insanely OP, bro. But then we have, on the other contrast, right, to the character of his father, we have Matteo, which is the grandson of Amodias. This guy is truly the rowdiest and most violently aggressive of the new generation of bestial warriors. Matteo is free-spirited to a fault. He believes that strength alone is enough to rule. His overwhelming prodigious strength, given his current age, makes him a true prodigy. However, he disregards tradition and believes the bestial tribe should rule all territories. And if he had his way, the tribe would be at war with every plane of existence. If his wisdom matched his strength, he would be the perfect heir to Rhynod's throne, considering he is Rhynod's firstborn son. It is said that Matteo and his father are evenly matched, but experience and discipline separate him from true greatness. So this guy is always going to be in his own way. He's just too strong for his own good, and because of that, it clouds his judgment, and it kind of in a way corrupts his mind. Now, don't get me wrong, he has been suffering from some of the effects of the bestial transformation because he is a rebel. So remember, it says that he disregards traditions, right? So he believes in strength alone, and he does not respect the traditions of the tribe, and because of that, he actually doesn't always use his armor. And Amodias told all of the tribe that if they ever use that form, they have to wear the armor. It will eat away at their minds. So Matteo's already suffering from the degrading conditions, and it's kind of why it's already in essence his character, which makes sense. That's what led to him being this way, was that he already was a rebel, but now it's affecting him to the extent that he's like too aggressive and violent, and that's because the degrading effect of the transformation is harming his mind. And so the son is like so opposite in contrast to Rhynod, and Rhynod kind of does embody what his father wants for the tribe. And those are the 3 generations of men that make up the deck. Now we're going to talk about their forms, actually, we're going to skip the spell and traps for a second. We're going to go to Beastial Primal Amodias Assault Mode. So Amodias' spirit animal is the lion, and that's his spirit guardian. When he assimilates, they look like their spirit guardians. So all the links take 2 bestial monsters, and all the links say you cannot special summon monsters except bestial monsters. If this card was link summoned using Beastial Amodias, excuse me, as a material for its summon, it gains the following effect. Once per turn, quick effect, equip 1 bestial ancestral armor from your hand, deck, or graveyard to a bestial monster you control. During your opponent's turn, you can target a bestial ancestral armor equipped to a bestial monster. You're equipped to a bestial monster you control. Oh, that said your control. You control. Equip it to a different bestial monster you control. And then his other effect, which is the basic effect he'll always have, whether you use Amodias to summon him or not. So every link has its own effect, but they only get their best effect when you use the proper monster to make them. So Amodias can only gain his effect if you use Amodias to make him. Other than that, all he can do is once per turn, special summon a bestial monster from your graveyard. This is a unique effect because no other extenders really allow you to summon the effect monsters. All the other extenders only summon normal monsters, so they're not even like good extenders. They're only good to make the links, but once you make the links, they don't really offer true value because you can only use each of the links effects once per turn. So Amodias' Assault Mode is very important, and the aspect of the monsters also is going to be parallel to their character. So he's a protector of his tribe still, even though he gave the mantle to his son. He does not want his tribe to actually suffer from the degrading condition from the power that they gain through this assault mode, assimilating with their spirit guardians. So that's why his effect, if you read it, it equips the armor. We talked about the armor. He created this armor to protect their minds from the degrading effects, and Amodias crafted that armor, and it made sense to me to give him this effect that he can equip the armor to any bestial as a quick effect, and specifically during your opponent's turn, he can re-equip it to a different monster. So he just wants to protect his tribe, and that's what his effect does. In essence, he's just protecting his tribe. He wants them to definitely have the power. That's why he taught them the technique, but he knows the drawback, and that's what he's here for. So that's Amodias. Next up, we have Rhynod. All the bestials are linked twos with arrows that point typically one on the side and one diagonal. And they all have 2500 attack. They're all light beast warriors. Same condition. You need 2 bestials to make it. You can only special summon bestials, so it's no generic stuff with this deck. If this card is link summoned using Rhynod, it gains the following effect. Quick effect. When a card or effect is activated, you can change up to 2 monsters on the field to face down defense position and or face up attack position. That can be used offensively or defensively because you can Book of Moon 1 and change 1 to attack, so you can like swing into it for damage. Or he can just be a double Book of Moon. This is a really strong effect, and the end boards of this deck, you have to use the link monsters for your interruptions. You can't make any generic stuff. So I felt that you needed to make the effect strong enough so that the deck isn't power crept in today's meta, but still to the extent where there's a balanced aspect. He has a double Book of Moon though, and that can be pretty strong in certain matchups. And then his base effect he always has, whether you make him with Rhynod or not, is once per turn, you can add a bestial trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of bestial, it's supposed to be each effect, I'm sorry. You can only use each effect of bestial primal Rhynod assault mode once per turn. So that is him. Double Book of Moon, and Amodias lets you equip the armor, and then during your opponent's turn, you can change its target. That's important because the armor's effect is twice per turn, so you can get an interruption off of it on the initial monster it's equipped to, and then Amodias can change it to a different guy so you can use it again. And then we have Matteo's assault mode, and this guy's kind of crazy, you know, he's kind of losing his mind. So same thing, you're restricted, it takes 2 bestials to make, nothing generic. You can't even, all the link monsters passively say you cannot activate any, you cannot summon any monsters except bestials. Alright, I'm sorry about that, somebody was knocking on my door, I had to answer. So same restriction. So we're going to talk about Matteo's effect. So if this guy was summoned using Matteo as a material, it gains the following effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can negate the effects of a face-up card on the field until the end of the turn. Then you can destroy a card on the field. So in essence, he can negate and destroy the same card, but he's like Varudris in the sense that like he can negate a card on the field and pop another one if he wanted to. So he can be 2 interruptions by himself. base effect, whether you summon him with Matteo or not, is once per turn you can add a beastial card from your graveyard to your hand. So he's pretty solid. This guy is actually integral to your inboards because it's the only way that this deck beats board breakers. This deck has literally no other way to beat board breakers. You can't make generic stuff, so you can't put up generic omnis. So he's the most important. So essentially, the best interruptions you'll get is an Omni Negate on a face-up card in the field, and you can pop a card, and you get the double Book of Moon, and then you get the interruptions off of armor, and that's what the deck does. So it's like a mid-range control deck, but it can be pretty strong. So the next thing that we're going to go into is the final, we're going to go into the main Link monster first. They have a Link 1 called Shaman Agatha. She is the tribe shaman. She takes one bestial monster. You can only special summon bestials. All of them say that. If this card's Link summon, you can add one bestial spell card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you could tribute a monster for cost. Special summon the bestial monster from your hand or graveyard. If the tributed monster was a Link monster, you can also special summon that monster. So she essentially, if you just tribute her own self for cost for her effect, she just gets herself back and the material they used to make her. So she's a 1-card Link 2 immediately, and she searches a spell on summon. So she's the main enabler of the deck, and she's how the normal monsters become 1-card starters. However, her getting hand trapped really hurts a lot, especially if it's specifically impermanent. Like, this deck can really struggle hard with that. So she's very strong, but she's also like the choke point, kind of like the Gen X Link monster, how busted it is, but it is like a weakness that the deck has. The deck can play past it, but her resolving is very imperative, like for your 1-card combos. And then we're gonna go into the card that you want to end on, which is what the deck in essence is getting to, is for Amodias to basically sacrifice himself for his tribe, fuse himself with his armor, and in essence gain his original power. So this is Beastial Prime Amodias. He's a Link 6 because you use the 3 Link 2s to make him, and that's how you get this guy out. He takes 3 Bestials. This card's Link summon cannot be negated. When you summon a bestial monsters, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. That's including for himself. So his summon can't be negated, and when he comes out, your opponent can't activate jack squat. So when you summon this guy, you actually can activate quick effects, quick plays, you name it, and your opponent can't respond because you get that blanket window of protection. So this guy really, when he comes out, I mean, bro, you just come out swinging. He's really strong. So he's like Meltdown, which is really good. This card gains the previously gained effects of bestial Link monsters used as materials for its Link summon. What that in essence means is when you use the 3 bestials to make Amodias, the effects that they gained off of being summoned with the original counterparts that they have, he gains those. So this guy actually has his own effect, but then he gets 3 more effects. He gets Primal Amodias, Primal Rhynod, and Primal Matteo, all in 1 card. So you are summoning this 6k essentially like towers like monster, and this is like the how you end your boards most of the time is just 1 Link 6 with a couple back rows, and you control the game with his 3 effects that he gets, and it's really strong. And on summon you just get protection, right? And then also in addition to that, his summon can't be negated, so you don't invest all those resources just to lose it out to like a Ceruvis or you know, an Azaroon. Also, in addition to him gaining those additional effects that were previously gained by the monsters used as his material, if this card is Link summoned, or if you summon a bestial monsters, you can destroy a card on the field. He has a non-targeting pop. On summon, he pops a card. And then also, when you play on your opponent's turn, this deck has traps that can summon bestial normal monsters that can trigger his effect so he can pop. So you basically can get 3 interruptions off the 3 Link monsters effects that he gained, and then a 4th off of his actual effect, and then you have 1 more trap that can interact with the opponent. So this deck can put up a maximum of 5 interruptions, and I think 5 interruptions is pretty strong for a 1-card combo. It's definitely not Phantom of Yubel like level generic degeneracy. It's not Sunside Genius Loki, even though these are normal monsters. The deck is super balanced. It looks like it's broken, but high key it really isn't, because 5 interruptions for a 1-card combo in modern Yu-Gi-Oh is not that great, but I think that it's enough to still enjoy, right? It's still fun, it's still cool, and I love the lore behind it. And this is Amodias when he's like, I'm done, bro. I'm done holding back. I'm not gonna be nerfed anymore. I'm going full power. And this is Prime Amodias. You see how young he looks in comparison? Because this is him returning to his prime. This is the strength he had when he founded the tribe. He was so OP, bro. So those are all the monsters. Now we're just going to talk about the support spells. We'll get into the most important one. Beastial Ancestral Armor. This is the armor that Amodias clad and created for his tribe. The Beastial monster this card is equipped to cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, it gains 1,000 attack. While this card is equipped to a Beastial monster, it gains this effect. This equipped spell gains the effect, not the monster. So, quick effect. You can target a card on the field, destroy that target, and if it was a monster, inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to that monster's attack. You can only use this effect of Beastial Ancestral Armor twice per turn. So, you see how it says once per turn on the actual effect, but you could use it twice per turn? The only reason why that comes up is because Amodias can re-equip this to a different Beastial on your opponent's turn, so you can get a pop twice. You get 2 pops off Amodias, a double Book of Moon, and an Omni Negate and pop. They're really good interruptions. Like, they're really, really good. I think they're pretty diversified. So armor's pretty good, including going second and breaking boards. It helps you to OTK, and it protects your, because you do summon, essentially, he becomes like a towers, right, when you have armor on him. You also can just make really like widespread boards where you just leave all the 3 links out, and then you go into Prime Amodias on the crackback on turn 3 to clean the board up and just OTK. So there's a ton of ways that you can end on your boards, but the best board is kind of just making Prime equipped with armor. But I do love the aspect of using the 3 generations and then finally saying, all right, I'm done holding back on turn 3. I'm not holding back anymore. I'm going to go into my full power. And then you just go into full power in Prime Amodias. Next up, we're going to talk about Primal Instincts. This is a quick play. Special summon a Beastial monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. If you control a Beastial monster when activating this card, you can special summon 2 Beastial normal monsters from your hand, deck, and or graveyard instead. If your opponent summons a monster, you could banish this card from your graveyard for cost. Special summon a Beastial monster from your hand or grave. You can only use each effective instincts once per turn. You can only special summon Beastials during the turn you activate this card. This card is really, really strong. It's one of the few cards that can summon Beastial Link monsters, which is really important. The link climbing aspect of this deck is not that strong, because if you're not making links with the normal monsters, you don't get real value out of them. You're just basically just putting out bodies. So it helps to get out bodies, but the best thing for this card is to always summon the normal monsters so you can make links and give them their effect. Otherwise, you're just putting out bodies that don't really do anything. So it does summon 2, which is kind of busted to summon 2 normal monsters from deck. In essence, it's Rescue Rabbit without having a normal summon, if you control a Beastial. So it's a pretty strong card, and it helps to play through Nib. If you get Nibbed, you just banish it and you can reborn one of your links and keep playing. So it's a pretty solid card. Next up, we have the field spell, Beastial Land. Once per turn, you can add a Beastial card from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. Once per turn, if you summon a Beastial monsters, you can special summon a Beastial normal monster from your hand or graveyard. So it can be an extender. And then once per turn during the end phase, you can set a Beastial spell or trap card from your graveyard. You can only use each effective Beastial land once per turn. So this card, in essence, is everything for the deck. It is an extender, it's recovery, and it's a starter all in and of itself. It's pretty much the best card in the entire deck, and the main search target that you want to get access off of Agatha. Because if you didn't open this card, you have to end on it no matter what. It has to be in your inboard. It just helps you grind. It's really good. This field spell is really, really strong. If this wasn't a normal monster based deck, it would not, I feel like it shouldn't be in any other deck but this deck, with that second effect to summon normal monsters. That is a bonus, but it only summons normal monsters, right? So it's only in essence to help you to get into your win conditions, which is summoning the 3 links. This enables the 1-card combos. Without this, you can't get the full board off of just 1 card. Next up, we're going to talk about the 2 traps. So you have 1 equip play, one equip, and then 1 field spell. And then we have the 2 traps. So we have the first one, Beastial Hunter. If you control a Beastial monster, you can activate this card from your hand. But what it does is you special summon a Beastial normal monster. See, they only summon vanillas. A lot of the extenders only summon normals, which makes them not that good, but they only are good for link climbing. That's it. Special summon a Beastial normal monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And if you do, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls with attack equal to or less than the attack of the monster summoned by this effect. So if you summon the vanilla, it has 2,000 attack. So any monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or less attack, you just non-targeting pop it off of Hunter. So it's like kind of like a Trident and a Welcome Labyrinth in one. It's kind of like big Welcome Labyrinth in that aspect. But you can activate it from hand if you control a Beastial. and that's really important because this helps you to break boards going second, and it's another layer that you set up as part of your inboard so you can interact with your opponent more. The bonus to this is, again, you summon one and destroy a monster. Your opponent controls with attack equal to or less than the attack of the monster summoned by this effect. Otherwise, you can banish a monster your opponent controls it to the end phase. So when you resolve Hunter, you always clear a monster no matter what. If you can't pop a monster because their attack is too high, then you just non-targeting banish a monster your opponent controls until the end phase. You can only activate Beastial Hunter once per turn. This card is absolutely crazy for outgrinding your opponent, whittling their resources, playing board control, and it's just a solid, it's always going to be a solid spot removal. This card is like crazy going second. It does play into like Impulse and Ash, but a lot of the cards actually play into Impulse and Ash because they're normal monsters. They can't really extend on their own, so every extender plays into like Impulse and Ash. Next up, we have the final trap card they have. It's Beastial Overture. This one is very cool. It's one of my favorites. If you control a Beastial monster, you can activate this card from your hand. Special summon a Beastial normal monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So just another extender. And these are extenders if you control Beastial. So you just play the traps from hand and summon. And if you do, you can link summon a Beastial link monster using monsters you control as materials. If a card or cards leaves your opponent's field because of a card effect, you can set this card from your graveyard. You can only use each effect of Overture once per turn. So in essence, it's just an extender, and you can optionally link summon, and then it gets itself back. If a card leaves your opponent's field because of a card effect, you can trigger that on your own. You have some spot removal that can do that. So Overture is really good for just outgrinding your opponent as well. So yeah, Hunter and Overture just keep you in the game. They do only summon normal monsters, so that can kind of suck. But, you know, it's 2k beatstick still. And when you're popping and clearing the field, 2k still puts on damage on the board, even if you're not link summoning. So, yeah, that's pretty much actually the entire deck, you guys. Now I'm going to show you guys my list. We will do combos, and also we will show you content further. If you guys actually like the video up enough and you comment that we want to see more Beastial, then I'll show you guys the main combo. But what we have here is a Beastial Primite deck. I decided the Primite cards work best with this deck. They give it starters that also enable going second really easily. So we have 3 load and 1 roar for starters, and also 4 field spells. So you have 8 1-card starters. Then you have 3 ink sinks. That gives you 11 1-card starters. But it does get better because you do play 2 of each of the normal monsters. So you essentially have 17 1-card starters because you can still normal these. It's just better to summon them out through other means. That's why you don't play 3 of any of them. You never want to really draw 2 Beastials, and it technically means you're playing 6 normal summons. So yeah, 2 Amodias, 2 Rhynod, 2 Matteo. None of them are arguably or objectively more important than the other. You need all of them actually in duplicates so that you don't ever lose your resources, because this deck has no banish zone recursion at all. So if you get shifted, you need duplicates especially. Then we play 2 copies of armor. I think 2 is just perfect for this deck as far as ratios go. And 3 Hunter. Hunter is definitely better than Overture in my opinion. So I played 3 of it and just the 1 Overture. Once you get Overture, it does just reset itself. So there's never a reason to play more than 1 in my opinion. Hunter is just the superior card. And once you have your field spell up, you'll be resetting Hunter every turn during each end phase. And that's how you just outgrind your opponent and just keep clearing their field. We have 3 Drill Beam, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Valor, and 3 Dominus and Purge, 2 Talents, and a Call By for non-engine and going second cards. This is crazy. It is objectively just another Omni Negate if you reveal one of your normals, or you just reveal a Primite card. This card's kind of busted. I've been thinking about playing the Primite monster that tribute summons on your opponent's turn. I just didn't want to play any like clunky or like situational cards. I think that the fact that this deck can play 12 really high impact hand traps, also with the Talents and Drill Beam, is pretty strong. And the extra deck is literally 3 of every link, because you can't make anything else. All of the links say you can only summon Beastials. And that is the deck profile, and that's the video. If you guys want to see the combos, you guys want to see me dueling with this deck, just let me know in the comment section below. And if the video does good enough, you know, gets enough views, I'll continue. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Deuces!